The day Michael left still haunted me like a relentless ghost from my past. Our once happy home, filled with laughter and dreams of a future together, had become nothing but a hollow shell, echoing with the words of our final confrontation. "You're infertile and single." His words cut deeper than any knife, a cruel declaration that marked the end of our journey together. The room spun around me as he packed his bags, his frustration and disappointment manifesting in every item he shoved into his suitcase. "Michael, please," I begged, tears streaming down my face, "don't do this. We can try again, explore other options. Please." He paused, his back to me, the tension in his shoulders speaking volumes. "I can't do this anymore," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, laden with a mixture of sadness and resolve. "I need more than this, more than what you can give me." The finality in his tone shattered the last of my hopes, leaving me to grapple with the reality of my situation. Alone, infertile, and abandoned by the man I loved, I was forced to confront a future I had never envisioned for myself. In the years that followed, I threw myself into my career, allowing the routine of work to numb the ache of my empty womb and the betrayal of my heart. The diagnosis of infertility, once a private sorrow, had become an indelible part of my identity, a fact I carried with me like a shadow. Yet, life, in its unfathomable way, decided to rewrite my story. The routine checkup that revealed the impossible ignited a spark of hope in the desolation of my existence. "You're pregnant," my doctor announced, the words surreal, a beacon of light in the overwhelming darkness. The news of my pregnancy was a miracle, a gift that defied every expectation and every limitation I had come to accept about myself. Lucas's birth was a rebirth for me, a chance to love and to be loved unconditionally, to experience the joys of motherhood I had long thought denied to me. As Lucas grew, so did my strength, and with it, a newfound sense of purpose. Our walks in the park became our sanctuary, a place where we could explore and laugh, free from the shadows of my past. It was on one of these walks that fate decided to come full circle. Spotting Michael on a bench, older yet unmistakably the man I once knew, reopened old wounds and stirred emotions I thought I had long since buried. "Is this your son?" he asked, surprise evident in his voice as he approached us, his steps uncertain. "Yes, meet Lucas," I replied, pride swelling in my chest as I held Lucas closer, a living testament to the life I had built from the ashes of my past. Michael's gaze shifted between Lucas and me, a myriad of emotions flickering across his face. I heard you were infertile," he stammered, the irony of the situation not lost on him. I smiled, the bitterness of the past fading in the light of my present. "Life is full of surprises. Lucas is my son, my miracle." The brief conversation that followed was a closure I hadn't realized I needed. Given the constraints and policies, let's continue the narrative journey, delving deeper into Chapter 2, where life's unexpected twists begin to unfold. The crisp air of the morning had a peculiar sense of anticipation, as if the universe itself was holding its breath for the revelation that was about to unfold in my life. The sterile scent of the clinic seemed more pronounced that day, each beep and click from the machinery a reminder of the countless visits that had all ended in disappointment. Sitting on the examination table, the paper beneath me crinkling with every nervous twitch, I awaited Dr. Simmons, the bearer of news, good or bad, for what felt like the 100th time. When she entered, her face was unreadable, a professional mask that gave nothing away. "Good morning, Sarah," she greeted, her tone neutral as she flipped through the notes on her clipboard. "Morning, Dr. Simmons," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper, bracing myself for the familiar wave of bad news. She paused, looking at me over the rim of her glasses, and for the first time in a long time, I saw a glimmer of something different in her eyes. "Hope, perhaps? I don't quite know how to say this, considering your history, but you're pregnant, Sarah. Congratulations." The words hung in the air, a sentence I had longed to hear yet feared would never be spoken. For a moment, I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Pregnant? After all these years? Are you sure? My voice cracked, the floodgates of emotions threatening to burst open. Very sure. The tests are conclusive. You're about 6 weeks along. Dr. Simmons smiled, a genuine warmth breaking through her professional demeanor. Tears welled up in my eyes, a mix of joy, disbelief, and 1,000 unspoken prayers finally answered. I can't believe it, I stammered, a hand instinctively finding its way to my still flat abdomen. It's quite the miracle, Sarah. I know it's a lot to take in, but I assure you, this is very real. You're going to be a mother. She handed me a tissue, her smile widening. The rest of the appointment passed in a blur, details about prenatal vitamins, next steps, and follow-up appointments washing over me like waves. I walked out of the clinic in a daze, the world around me suddenly awash in a new light. As I made my way through the park, heading home, the reality of my situation began to sink in. I, Sarah Thompson, once deemed infertile and left to navigate the wreckage of a failed marriage alone, was going to have a baby. The irony of the situation wasn't lost on me. Michael had left in search of a family, and here I was, about to start one on my own. Mommy, why are you crying? Are you sad? Lucas, ever observant, tugged at my hand, pulling me from my reverie. I knelt down, pulling him into a hug, my heart swelling with love for the little boy who had already brought so much joy into my life. No, sweetheart, these are happy tears. Very happy tears, I assured him, planting a kiss atop his head. As we continued our walk, I realized that this new chapter in our lives was a testament to the unexpected twists of fate. Lucas, my miracle, was proof that even in the depths of despair, there's always a sliver of hope waiting to be discovered. The journey ahead would undoubtedly be filled with challenges, but as I looked down at Lucas, his hand securely in mine, I knew we were ready to face whatever came our way. Together, we would navigate this new adventure, our bond a beacon of light guiding us through the uncertainties of the future. And so, with a heart full of hope and a future suddenly bright with possibility, I stepped forward into the unknown, ready to embrace the miracle that life had bestowed upon us. Given your request to expand upon Chapter 3 with dialogue and detailed narrative, let's dive into the story, focusing on the emotional and dynamic encounter in the park. The park was alive with the vibrant colors of fall, a stark contrast to the turmoil brewing within me as Lucas and I navigated through the sea of fallen leaves. My son, with his boundless energy and innocent laughter, was oblivious to the storm of emotions his presence would soon stir. Mommy, look how high I can swing. Lucas called out, his voice full of glee as he soared back and forth. I smiled, watching him with a heart full of love. Be careful, sweetheart. I responded, the warmth in my voice belying the sudden chill that gripped me as my gaze fell upon a familiar figure sitting alone on a bench. Michael looked older, the years having etched lines of regret and sorrow into his features. His eyes met mine, and for a moment, the world stood still, the echoes of our past resonating loudly in the silent exchange. He stood, taking hesitant steps towards us, his posture a mix of uncertainty and resolve. Is this your son? He asked, his voice betraying a hint of surprise and something deeper, perhaps remorse. Lucas, curious, approached, his hand slipping into mine as he eyed Michael with a child's open curiosity. Yes, meet Lucas, I replied, my voice steady, despite the whirlwind of emotions threatening to surface. Lucas, this is an old friend of Mommy's. Lucas offered a shy smile, his innocence a soothing balm on the raw edges of my heart. Hi, he said simply, the single word carrying the weight of 1,000 questions. Michael's gaze lingered on Lucas, then shifted to me, a silent plea for understanding in his eyes. I heard you were infertile, he stammered, the irony of the situation not lost on him. I couldn't help but smile, a genuine expression of contentment and pride. Life is full of surprises. Lucas is my son, my miracle. The brief conversation that followed was a delicate dance around the remnants of our shared history. Michael spoke of his life, the choices he made in the wake of our separation, and the solitude that had become his constant companion. I'm happy for you. Truly. His words were soft, laden with an emotion I couldn't quite decipher. Perhaps it was genuine happiness for me, or maybe it was regret for what he had lost. As we parted ways, Michael's silhouette receding into the distance, Lucas looked up at me with wide, questioning eyes. "Who was that man, Mommy?" I squeezed his hand, a gesture of reassurance for both him and myself. "Just someone from my past, sweetie. Someone who helped me find my way to you," I answered, the truth of my words wrapping around us like a warm embrace. As Lucas and I resumed our walk, the encounter with Michael felt like a chapter closing, allowing the light of new beginnings to shine through. The pain and heartache he had caused were now just shadows, faint and distant, overtaken by the joy and love Lucas brought into my life. "Mommy, can we get ice cream?" Lucas's request pulled me back to the present, his voice filled with hope and anticipation. I laughed, the sound mingling with the rustle of leaves underfoot. "Yes, we can get ice cream." As we walked away, hand in hand, the park behind us, I realized that the encounter with Michael wasn't just a confrontation with my past, it was a testament to my strength, my resilience, and the beautiful life I had built from the ashes of my heartbreak. Lucas was not just a reminder of what I had gained in the face of loss, he was a symbol of my redemption, my miracle that defied all odds. The brisk autumn morning held a sense of new beginnings as Lucas and I made our way to the park, our breaths visible in the cool air. Lucas's laughter filled the space between us, a sweet melody that eased the knots of apprehension within me. Today wasn't just another day, it was the day I decided to face my past head-on, with Michael. As Lucas played on the swing, I spotted Michael approaching. Time had etched its story on his face, lines of regret mingling with the familiar features I once knew so well. "Sarah," Michael greeted, his voice carrying a mix of emotions. "Michael," I acknowledged, my stance guarded yet open to the conversation that needed to happen. He glanced at Lucas, who was now curiously observing us. "He's your son?" Michael asked, his voice betraying his surprise. "Yes, meet Lucas," I introduced, pride swelling in my chest as Lucas approached, a cautious curiosity in his steps. "Hi," Lucas said, his gaze flitting between Michael and me, sensing the weight of the moment. "Hello, Lucas. I'm an old friend of your mom's," Michael managed, the title feeling inadequate for the torrent of emotions I knew he was experiencing. We found a bench nearby, the autumn leaves a colorful tapestry underfoot. Lucas, sensing the adults needed to talk, went back to the swing, casting occasional glances our way. "Sarah, I heard you couldn't have children," Michael started, the confusion evident in his tone. I couldn't help but smile softly at the irony. "Life is full of surprises, Michael. Lucas is my miracle." Michael nodded, absorbing the reality in front of him. "I'm happy for you, truly," he said after a moment, his gaze lingering on Lucas. "I spent years regretting my decision, wondering if I made a mistake." "Michael, we both made choices based on what we knew and felt at the time," I replied, the years of pain and growth lending me a perspective I once lacked. "I won't pretend your leaving didn't hurt, but it led me here, to Lucas. For that, I can't hold on to the bitterness." He looked at me, a mixture of gratitude and sorrow in his eyes. "You've always been stronger than me, Sarah. I'm sorry for the pain I caused you." "It took me a long time to understand, but I forgive you, Michael," I confessed, the words freeing a part of me I hadn't realized was still captive to the past. "We've both moved on, and that's okay." Lucas came running back, breaking the moment. "Mom, can we get ice cream?" I laughed, the sound light and genuine. "Of course, sweetheart. Michael, would you like to join us?" His pause was brief, a decision made in the space of a heartbeat. "I'd like that, thank you." As we walked to the nearby ice cream stand, Lucas chatting excitedly about his favorite flavors, I felt a closure and a sense of peace that had eluded me for years. Life had come full circle, not in the way I had once imagined, but in a manner that brought healing and redemption. The encounter with Michael, once feared, became a step toward understanding and forgiveness. Our shared history, marked by loss and love, had diverged into separate paths, yet for a brief moment, we were able to acknowledge and appreciate the journey. As we said our goodbyes, Michael's parting words echoed with sincerity. "Thank you, Sarah, for this chance. You've built a beautiful life." Watching him walk away, I realized that our past no longer held power over me. The scars had healed, leaving behind lessons of resilience and the capacity for forgiveness. Turning to Lucas, who was happily enjoying his ice cream, I knew that our future was bright, filled with endless possibilities. Together, we would navigate whatever came our way, strengthened by the love and understanding that had emerged from the shadows of the past. As the days grew shorter and the leaves turned from gold to brown, a subtle shift occurred in the rhythm of our lives. The encounter with Michael had not only closed a chapter long left open, but also paved the way for new beginnings. Lucas, with his ever-curious mind and boundless energy, became the bridge between the past I had struggled to reconcile and the future I was eager to embrace. One crisp evening, as Lucas and I sat at the kitchen table, surrounded by his drawings and homework, he posed a question that caught me off guard. "Mom, why did that man, Michael, want to see us?" "He seemed sad," Lucas inquired, his pencil paused mid-air. I sighed, searching for words that would satisfy his curiosity without burdening his young heart. "Michael is someone from my past, someone who made a big mistake but is learning how to fix it. We met him because it's important to forgive, Lucas, and to move forward." Lucas nodded, processing this. "Does that mean he's our friend now?" "In a way, yes. He's someone we can be kind to," I answered, hoping to instill in Lucas the values of compassion and understanding. The conversation shifted to lighter topics, but Lucas's question lingered in my mind. It was a reminder of the intricate web of relationships that defined our lives, each connection a thread in the larger tapestry of our story. The following weekend, as we embarked on our usual walk through the park, I noticed Lucas's gaze lingering on the bench where we had met Michael. The bench was empty now, a silent witness to the moment of reconciliation that had taken place. "Mom, do you think people can really change?" Lucas asked, a hint of wonder in his voice. "I believe they can, sweetheart. But it takes courage and a lot of hard work," I replied, squeezing his hand reassuringly. Lucas smiled, a reflection of his boundless optimism. "I'm glad Michael is trying to be better. Everyone deserves a second chance, right?" "Right," I agreed, my heart swelling with pride at his insight. Our conversation was interrupted by the familiar sound of Michael's voice calling out to us. He approached with a hesitant smile, holding a small model airplane. "Lucas, I thought you might like this." "I remember you mentioned you liked planes," Michael said, offering the toy to Lucas with a hopeful glance. Lucas's eyes lit up, and he accepted the gift with a shy, "Thank you." The gesture, simple yet profound, marked another step toward healing the rifts of the past. "Would you like to join us for our walk?" I invited, surprised at my own willingness to extend the olive branch further. Michael accepted with a nod, gratitude evident in his expression. As we walked, Lucas chattering excitedly about school and his new airplane, I observed the tentative yet genuine interactions between him and Michael. It was clear that while the wounds of the past may never fully disappear, the effort to mend them could lead to unexpected friendships and a sense of closure. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the park, I realized that our encounter with Michael had not only offered a chance for forgiveness, but had also shown Lucas the power of compassion and the importance of second chances. In his own way, Lucas was teaching us both how to rebuild bridges, one small step at a time. Returning home that evening, the model airplane in Lucas's hands a symbol of new connections, I felt a sense of peace. Our family's journey had taken us through storms and into calmer waters, where the echoes of redemption whispered of hope, understanding, and the promise of new beginnings. As autumn gave way to the crisp beginnings of winter, the world around us transformed into a canvas of white, mirroring the blank slate our lives seemed to offer. The park where we had met Michael, now silent under a blanket of snow, held the promise of new memories to be created, of wounds healed by the balm of time and understanding. One chilly afternoon, as Lucas and I sat by the fireplace, the warmth of the flames competing with the cold seeping through the windows, he brought up Michael again, his questions thoughtful and probing. "Mom, do you think Michael is lonely?" Lucas asked, his eyes fixed on the dance of the flames. I paused, considering the complexity of human emotions, the solitude that often accompanied regret. He might be, Lucas. Sometimes, people are left alone with their thoughts and the choices they've made. Lucas nodded, a maturity beyond his years shadowing his features. I was thinking, maybe we could invite him for Christmas. Would that be weird? The idea, unexpected yet heartwarmingly generous, took me by surprise. It's a very kind thought, Lucas. Are you sure? Yeah. Everyone deserves to be with family during Christmas, right? Lucas's innocence and capacity for forgiveness were a lesson in themselves, a reminder of the purity of a child's heart. The decision made, we extended the invitation to Michael, who accepted with a mixture of surprise and gratitude that was evident even through the phone. I'd be honored to join you. Thank you, Lucas, Sarah. Christmas Eve arrived, a flurry of activity filling our home with laughter and the scent of baking cookies. Michael arrived, a small tree in tow, a peace offering of sorts. Lucas's excitement was palpable, his earlier reservations forgotten in the spirit of the holiday. As we decorated the tree together, Michael shared stories of Christmases past, of traditions and memories that painted a picture of the man he used to be, and the man he hoped to become. Putting the star on the tree was always my favorite part, Michael confessed, a nostalgic glint in his eyes. Can we do it together, then? Lucas proposed, his voice hopeful. Together, they placed the star atop the tree, a symbol of unity and new beginnings. The act, simple in its execution, was profound in its significance, weaving a new thread into the fabric of our redefined family. Later, as we gathered around the dinner table, the warmth of shared stories and laughter filling the room, I proposed a toast. To new beginnings, to forgiveness, and to the family we choose. Cheers, we echoed, our glasses raised in a silent vow to embrace the future, whatever it may hold. After dinner, as Lucas nestled into bed, his eyes heavy with sleep, he murmured, "This was the best Christmas, Mom." It was, sweetheart, I agreed, my heart full. It was. Michael and I sat in silence after Lucas had drifted off to sleep, the events of the evening wrapping around us like a comforting blanket. Sarah, I don't know what to say. Today was more than I ever could have hoped for, Michael said, his voice laced with emotion. You don't have to say anything, Michael. Today was about healing, about moving forward. Let's just keep taking it one step at a time, I replied, the glow of the fireplace casting soft shadows across the room. As the night deepened, a sense of peace settled over our home, the kind that comes from knowing you've weathered the storm and emerged stronger on the other side. Our journey, marked by pain, forgiveness, and unexpected joy, had led us to this moment of quiet contentment, a testament to the enduring power of love and the resilience of the human spirit. In the end, our story was one of redemption, not just for Michael or for me, but for Lucas, the innocent soul who had shown us the way. Together, we looked toward a future not defined by the past but forged from the choices we made in the present, choices inspired by love, compassion, and the promise of new beginnings.